So we're going to go ahead and wrap up this troubleshooting lecture, and I'm gonna provide you with some interesting information on how to actually use superheat and subcooling to diagnose any refrigeration system. So I came across this really neat little chart here, and this is probably going to be one of the more valuable pieces of information that you get out of this class. Um, as we've covered in the prior lectures, we've covered how to take all your readings, the basic components of the refrigeration system, how to determine what your superheat and subcooling is, what tools you need to do that. So on the right-hand side here is a really nice little succinct chart that provides you with, gives you some hints as to what may be going on in your refrigeration system. So again, it's a really great little tool here. I want you to focus here on these two columns here, the superheat and the subcool. So remember we mentioned in the prior slide, we want to make sure that our superheat and subcooling are within 3 to 5 degrees of each other, and we also want to make sure the ideal point, the reference point, is between 8 and 12 degrees on the two values, right? So if you don't have those that balance, this gives you some hints as to what's going on here. So if you happen to find that your superheat is low and your subcooling is also low, that would indicate that you may have a condenser coil restriction. All right. If you have, and also if you happen to have low superheat and low subcooling, that can also indicate a evaporator coil restriction, so condenser evaporator. Remember we covered that earlier in the last slide. You want to make sure that your maintenance bases are covered all the time. I've had technicians, these two here, they're on the top for a reason. I've had many technicians that will say, okay, I've got low superheat, low subcooling, I must be undercharged. So what they do is they go out to their truck, they get their can of refrigerant, and they start dumping refrigerant in the system. And then they also find out that they come back in a couple of weeks with a bad compressor, and that compressor went bad because it was overcharged. So you want to make sure your maintenance items are covered. So this covers all of them. You get high superheat, high subcooling. You've got some of them could be kind of interesting. Undercharge. You could have high superheat, low subcooling, right, and so on. So this chart's really helpful, and I'd suggest maybe trying to find one of these online. Maybe you could figure out a way to cut it out of this particular presentation. But this is a very helpful little troubleshooting chart. All right, so that's going to wrap up the class on diagnostics of a refrigeration system. I hope this information is helpful. Stick around. I have one more slide, one more bonus piece of information that I want to share with you, and then we'll send you on your way. And hey, I really appreciate sitting in on the class. Make sure, and I'll say it another time in this class, make sure if you have any suggestions of any items you want to have covered, I'd be more than happy to put together a class for you.